Well, Rich, how you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing well, Gary. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm doing just fantastic.
Great, great. Hey, it's Thursday here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, huh?
Yes, it is.
That's
Looking
right.
forward to Halloween.
Yeah. I'll actually be in Northern California for Halloween. I'm leaving Saturday for Mendocino County, which is up on the northern coast of California, where my whole family lives, even though I was born and raised in the South Bay. And of course was a Niner fan, and everybody up in Mendocino is a Niner fan too. So I'll be able to watch the local game. I'll be able to watch the local broadcast. That's great. So looking forward to that. And where will you be for this game this
Well,
weekend?
I'll be at the Heathen. Well, we'll miss you.
Yeah, I'm sure
And,
you will.
I'll be there with the Niner Empire, Vancouver, bringing the team along.
They'll all be there.
The teams have quite a history.
They do. Talk about that a little bit, Gary.
The first game was played in November 1950. It was actually the 24th. Excuse me, September. Time for the foghorn. Anyway, and they've played throughout the years, and it's been a pretty close record. The San Francisco 49ers actually lead the series 34-32 with one tie.
Wow. So, can't get much closer than that, huh?
No, you can't.
Wow.
So what do you think of this upcoming game?
Well, before I get to the upcoming game, there was two historical items between the Niners and the Bears that I wanted to bring up real quick. And I won't take too long, but these guys have nasty feelings towards each other, and especially the 80s Walsh versus Ditka games. Those were brutal. The Bears and the 49ers hated each other. Walsh and Ditka didn't like each other at all. So there was some pretty fun stuff that happened. But let me just bring up two pieces of history with the 49ers versus the Chicago Bears. So October 1957, I was about 2 months old. The Bears visit Kezar, where the home of the 49ers was, in San Francisco. And first quarter, Bears went up 14-0. Early in the second quarter, we scored a touchdown, so it was 14-7. And during the ensuing kickoff, Morbido had a heart attack and collapsed in the owner's booth and died. So the owner and founder of the 49ers literally died at a Bears at 49 game. So that's kind of an interesting piece of history. And I've talked about that in a previous podcast, on the Fogies podcast. One more I'd like to bring up, because I was at this game too. And so this was December 16th, 1987. I gave up my tickets in 88 because I was moving up here. It was a Monday night game. Both teams were 10-2. This thing was billed as the game of the year, game of the decade, game of the century. However you want to put it, the nation was looking forward to this game and thought that it was going to be close. Well, the Niners got a 20-0 halftime lead. They just blew the Bears off the field in the first half. So Ditka was walking off the field, and for those that remember Candlestick Park, On the south end zone was the tunnel where the opposing teams went through to their locker room. While Ditka was walking through there, he said he got hit by a piece of ice. So he always chewed a giant wad of gum. He spit that wad of gum out in his hand and he threw it into the crowd and he hit a lady right in the face with it. So she went to the police and wanted to press charges, and the San Francisco Police Department was actually thinking about bringing assault charges against Ditka. It never happened. But the final score of this game was 41-0. It was a complete blowout, and Ditka was beside himself, thinking that he had the best team in football. 1985 he did, but not 1987. So I just thought those two would be kind of interesting, Gary, and I wanted to throw those out there for people to hopefully enjoy. And now should we start talking about this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Well, the Bears started 3-2 and they've lost 2 in a row, and now they're 3-4. And they're coming off a home loss. No, it wasn't. A road loss to Tampa Bay, and they lost 38-3. So the Niners travel to Soldier Field this weekend, and the Niners on the road are favored by 3. So what do you think about that, Gary? Going into
Well, from breaking down the film, what I saw was two teams that look really similar.
Yeah.
I thought we'd have an easy time with this game, and we could, but things have got to change because I watched the last game that each team played multiple times, and I couldn't believe that they were so similar in the way they were played, the scoring. I'm not a stats guy, but I pulled stats out, and the stats are pretty much the same.
They are. I have stats right here, and you're right. They're very, very
close. And what do you think, Rich?
Well, so one big advantage the Niners are going to have this week that hopefully Jimmy G will be able to take advantage of is that Khalil Mack is out for the game. He's leading the Bears with 6 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. He's an animal. He's really difficult to deal with, and he's not going to be playing. So I think that gives the offensive line, the 49ers offensive line, a real boost and a real advantage because there's no way to replace Mack for the Bears. So that's the first thing that I think. What do you think about that, Gary?
Well, I think that is an advantage.
Yeah.
But boy, I sure wouldn't want to be a bookie at this time for this game.
Oh, I wouldn't bet on this game. Well, I wouldn't bet on this game if you gave me $1 million. The Niners being a 3-point favorite on the road with their record, I kind of don't understand it. I'm looking at some of their stats right now, passing stats. They're just quarterback rating for Chicago is 68.1, which looks really bad, right? And their opponents' quarterback ratings are 101.2. It says their defense is really vulnerable. For the Niners, the quarterback rating is 89.7. So certainly we're, significantly better than Chicago in quarterback rating. And we actually give up less points by a point. We're giving up 100.6. That's the QBR against us this year. So it's pretty close. It's really close. I mean, I look at these stats like you said, and there's barely a difference there. The one other thing that kind of jumps out at me here is sacks for a loss. The Niners, believe it or not, have only been sacked 11 times for 60 total yards. While the Bears have been sacked 26 times for roughly 120 yards. So there's a significant difference there, which says to me that the Bears' offensive line is struggling. And if our front seven is completely healthy, we should really be able to take advantage of that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about the passing game. What do you think about these quarterbacks? Think Garoppolo's going this weekend? Do you think he'll go the whole time? What do you think about the quarterbacks this weekend?
Well, I hope Jimmy has a better game than he did the last one.
Yeah.
I think I've been watching some of the film on him at practice this week, and I'm not real happy with the way he's moving, his footwork.
Yeah.
And that kind of bothers me a bit.
Yeah.
But I think our line is starting to beef up a bit, getting better.
I think it is. Hey, is Trent Williams back? Do you know?
I haven't heard.
Yeah, I haven't either. I didn't check. I didn't check the injury report yet. I always check it on Friday or
Well,
Saturday.
if he would have been pinned for coming, I'm sure I would have got it in some of the stuff that I look at.
Right.
To find
Right.
out. But, Shanahan likes to keep his cards face down.
Yep.
So you never really know what he's going to come up with. He does he tells you the truth when he tells you.
Right.
But you got to wait for him to tell you.
Exactly. That's what happened last week, right? I mean, we had 5 guys and they were all questionable. And then Sunday, they said, okay, this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's out.
Yeah.
These 2 guys can play. So, yeah, that's exactly what he did last week. So yeah, you're spot on there. Any thoughts about this passing game? They got Justin Fields as their starter. They got Andy Dalton on the bench. I think Andy Dalton's a pretty good quarterback.
The Red Rifle.
Yeah. Well, his quarterback rating is 84.6 and Justin Fields is 61.8. So, Dalton has had success while he's been out there. His pass percentage is 74%, which is outstanding. And Justin Fields is 57.3%. So you got to wonder if they're looking at their quarterback situation the way that we're looking at ours. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. But there's nothing we can do about that except prepare.
We can blow up their offensive line and go get them.
What about our DBs?
Oh boy. Let me look. I have some defensive stats here. Yeah. So it looks to me like Chicago's defense has been playing better than the 49ers, but you got it. That being said, I looked at the who both teams played in the last 5 games, and we by far had the toughest schedule. And now Chicago's got a tough one coming up because they got to play us, then they got to play the Cards back to back. But if I look at it, Chicago's got a total of 7 interceptions. No, they have a total of 4. We have 1. Their opponents have 7. Our opponents have 5. So they've got, 75% more interceptions than we do. but they've given up more to their opponents. Nothing else really jumps out at me. Um, both defenses have gotten a touchdown. Chicago's got a lot more tackles than we do, 443 to 387. But again, that probably has more to do with the quality of the teams that we played versus
Well,
them.
you don't want your DBs being the ones making the tackles.
No, you don't. And I think there's a lot of that going on. And the last piece of this is the sacks. Chicago sacks a lot. They've got 21 sacks for 162 yards lost. And we have 12 sacks for 97 lost. That's a big difference. And you gotta wonder why. You
Well, I've
watched
got
the film. What do you think?
Well, I think the reason we don't have sacks is because teams know that they have to get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing with our defensive line, that they do travel with a bit of luggage that shows who they are. And every team has to work on preparing for that. So if you'll notice how quick the guys are getting rid of the ball that are playing against us, you can see that happening.
So when you've gone back and rewatched these games, you see a difference, because Jimmy's not getting rid of the ball fast at all. He's standing back there and holding it far too long in some cases. So you've seen a big difference between quarterbacks facing our defensive line versus
Yes.
our quarterbacks facing other defensive lines.
Yep. And I think that the Bears have a tendency to throw more long balls.
Well, all you got to do to get a reception against the 49ers is throw the ball 25 yards and they either catch it or it's a pass interference call.
But you have to escape that D line to do it.
Yeah. But you know, it depends on the quality of quarterback. If you recall that Green Bay game, what was it, 34 seconds left?
Yeah.
And Rodgers got out there and threw two 25-yard passes in a row, completely uncovered, and right down the middle of the field. And then they kick a field goal and win. So, yeah, our D-backs are a problem, I think, to begin with. You know, what we have 7 pass interference calls in the last game, and I looked at them; they were pass interference. I think, you know, once again, our DBs are going to be the soft spot, the defense. And I haven't watched much of Justin Fields. I don't know a lot about the guy, but you know, if he can throw it long, we're probably in trouble. So,
well, he's got a good arm, and
does he?
he's very mobile. The one thing that I was kind of surprised by is that he doesn't look any more polished than Trey does.
Oh, really?
And you'd think with all of the time that he's had that he would look a little better, but he doesn't. He looks just like he's in the same situation, that not quite there yet. Has some work to do.
So do you see that as an advantage for us?
I do believe so.
Okay. Yeah. And they don't do, at least I don't think, they don't go back and forth between him and Dalton, right? They don't put Dalton in for a series.
Not that I've seen.
Yeah, I think Dalton just.
We only watched the last 2 games that the Bears played.
Okay.
I didn't think that the earlier ones were all that relevant.
No, and when we were first got at Heathen, we were the first two guys there. They had that game on.
Mhm.
And man, Tampa Bay was having some kind of fun out there. I mean, they were just toying with this team.
Chicago does have a good running game, but it looked just like ours did in the last game, where some plays were really good and some plays didn't go anywhere. And they weren't consistent. The
Yeah,
consistent team is going to win this game.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're averaging 4.5 yards per carry and 131 yards per game on the ground, which is pretty good.
Yes.
And we're averaging 4.7, which is, right there with those guys. And yards per game, we're getting about 120 yards per game. So again, the matchup is very, very close. Within 10 points either way. But with Khalil Mack out, that changes all that, right?
Yes, it
And
does.
maybe those stats don't even matter at that point, because he's such a huge influence. I mean, even when he's not getting a sack, or even when he's not getting a tackle, he's opening it up for the rest of the line to do so, because he's got to be double teamed. So without him there, they got a week to get ready for the 49ers front seven. And that's going to be pretty tough. It should be a huge advantage for us. It better be.
Well, I do give the Bears the advantage in special teams. The kid running the kicks back looks really good.
Does he?
And they get quite a few yards every time that it's not kicked out of the end zone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was really impressed with their return man. Can't tell you his name.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't pay a lot of attention to special teams because our special teams are so painful. But I did note that they have 12 extra points and they're 12 for 12. I'm going off memory here. And so you can start blowing the foghorn now. And on field goals, they're 11 for 11.
Yes.
So their kickers doing the job, and we know what kind of problems we're having with our kickers. A lot of that had to do with Robbie Gould getting hurt. But boy,
it's going to be a tough game, but we're going to win.
Okay. So you got any hot takes on this week?
Well,
weekend?
I was kind of a bust with them last time, but
I did okay.
Well, I'm going to say that they're going to run Ebukam and Bosa together a little more often. And I haven't heard anything on Ford. And if Ford, he was in some kind of a protocol that Shanahan mentioned in his presser after the game.
Right.
And if he doesn't play, I'll probably see more of him. We're having a couple of defensive linemen that are coming back that are an upgrade for who we have had. So I think we'll pull it out. Hot takes, defensive line is gonna go crazy.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna say 3+ sacks.
Wow. Okay. I'd love that.
And
And a bunch of hurries and quarterback
Yeah.
hits. Yeah. That'd be good.
The other thing is I'm gonna say that Debo is gonna have a great game. That's really out on a limb.
Well, maybe. And that one kind of goes with my hot take. My hot take is the offensive line. And it's specifically because Khalil Mack isn't out there. It changes the entire defensive scheme for the Bears. I don't think they're going to try to stick somebody in there and hope he can be Khalil Mack. They're going to change things up. That should be an advantage to our offensive line, and that should help Jimmy get the time he needs in the pocket to get these passes off, right? To let the I mean, one of the problems that we've had in last game, it was a huge problem, is that Jimmy wasn't getting open to the or getting enough time to stand in the pocket or roll out to allow the play to develop. They were on him so fast that the plays weren't developing, and then his throws were behind people. His throws were hitting the ground in front of people. He just didn't have enough time. I think this game is going to be a lot different. I think my hot pick is the offensive line this week.
Okay, now I do have one hot take.
Oh,
and that's it. We're actually going to use the juice for something other than just blocking. He's going to have his hands on the ball at least 3 times.
Pass receiving or running?
Pass receiving and running total.
Okay.
He'll have 3 plus, at least 3 touches. So that's better than last week.
One more question for you. And this is a special team question. Do you think we're favored by 3? That's a field goal. That has me concerned because I'm superstitious as can be, and those 2 things just sound bad to me. It sounds like, yeah, that 3 points is depending upon a kicker. I don't know if Robbie's back this week or not. I don't think so. I think he's out 2 more weeks. So that has me antsy. We're favored by 3, and we're depending upon our special teams. So that's my concern of the game. Anything jump out there at you, Gary, that says we better do this or we're going to get killed?
Well, my optimism won't let me do anything but say Niners are going to win.
Okay.
They're going to win until the game's over, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
But I just think they're going to step up all the way around.
Well, they should, and they should be a better team, and they've played much harder opponents than Chicago has. So, hopefully we've got enough battle scars to really go out there and take care of these guys.
Now, they'll have to step up as a team and trust their teammates.
Yep.
And if they do that, they'll win by more than 3.
Yeah, they could. I mean, there's the potential for a blowout there. Especially after watching that game last week against Tampa Bay. But we're not Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense is really rocking right now, and obviously.
No, but we've got Brady's backup.
Well, we do. Starting to read these articles about these old guys that are coming out and talking about the difference between Brady and Garoppolo, and I've seen some of the guys that were his teammates that didn't like him. I read, I don't remember who got interviewed. Somebody from back in those days who was really critical of Jimmy. So maybe when they got rid of him, it wasn't such a big deal. Maybe it really wasn't the relationship between the coaching staffs that was rumored to be the case. So anyway, that's it for me. I'm
Same
all
here.
done.
We'll you have a good time down south.
Thank you very much. Hey, can I throw one thing I forgot in there?
Sure.
This weekend, if you watch this and you come into the game at Heathen, our food drive is going on now. Our food drive is going till the week before Thanksgiving. Last week, it was a Sunday night game. The weather was lousy, and it was on nationwide TV, and hardly anybody came down. Mark Turner came and brought some food. Thank you, Mark. But this weekend and the weekends that are coming up, we would love to see a lot of food. This food will we're in association with the Clark County Food Bank, and all the food will stay here in Southwest Washington. So please give generously as you can. That's all I wanted to throw in. Gary, you want to take us out of here?
Well, remember, if you don't have a past, there is no future.
That's right.
And go Niners.
Go Niners. Thanks, Gary.